Well, hello, this is Michael from your Western Outpost in Salt Lake City. We're going to talk about a little Zenith radio tabletop that I just did a real quick repair on for a friend. Just did it as a favor for a friend. He's actually a regular customer and he asked if I could squeeze it into my queue because he's got somebody coming he wants to give it to a gift to in the next few days. So here we go. This thing came to me as pretty much a dead radio. This is a Zenith model R511F with chassis 5R01. There's the SAMs for it. And I got the schematic up on my TV screen. That's always real helpful. I actually usually make a large sheet that I keep notes on, but this is a simple radio and I didn't think I really needed to do that. And it turns out that I wound up doing more to this radio than I thought I would. If you look at the schematic, you see right here, the second IF transformer. It had actually one of the wires for the secondary had broken away from its terminal, and then two wires on the primary were touching together. So this second IF basically was dead in the water. Took it apart once, saw the terminal, the wire that was broken loose from the terminal, fixed that. And then we're talking hair fine wire. Fix that, put it back in, soldered all the wires to this. There were 5 connections to this IF, 5 terminals, and there's a couple wires per. Soldered all that back together, and then fired it up. And yeah, now the radio kind of worked. It was real distorted, but it didn't work real well. So I kept getting a lot of static. He sounded like crashing and all kinds of noise, almost like radios that have the silver mica disease and the small IF transformers. Well, this one doesn't have mica capacitors in the transformers. It basically is just 2 inductive coil setups, adjustable inductors. So anyway, I found out that these 2 wires were touching. I fixed that. They didn't always touch. It's like if they warmed up, they would just come in contact and touch, and the lacquer on those wires was worn away enough so that they actually made some intermittent contact and made this awful crashing sound on the radio. Fixed that. Still a lot of distortion, but now I knew I was getting good IF. And so I went through and replaced all the coupling and bypass capacitors, basically replaced all the capacitors. There were still, this is an All-American 5, and it is from the 50s, but it's sort of pre-circuit board. So it was still point-to-point wiring, which was a real joy to work on. I like that. And the capacitors were old-fashioned. Most of them were old-fashioned paper and wax capacitors. So I replaced those, replaced the electrolytics, did an alignment, changed the light bulb, did a few other minor things, fixed the antenna. The antenna was just hanging on by a thread, so it was not the way it should be. You know, it's got a loop antenna, and one of the leads was almost broken loose. Fixed all of that, and I'll be darned, the radio's working pretty good now. So here it is. It's a plastic radio. We're not talking Catalin or Bakelite or anything like that. This is post those materials. This is basic plastic. Really simple radio. I've got a maroon one of these, and I really like them. They're nice radios. Now, I didn't know how nice the design was on this inside, so I'll be restoring mine soon because I like it that much. It is missing the handle, but that's okay because some of these radios came without handles. So this radio, it's a tabletop. It's not a portable. It's a tabletop, so it doesn't necessarily look out of place without a handle. And it's a nice-looking radio. Let's go ahead and turn it on, shall we? Oops, wrong knob. I do that all the time. Now, I'll show you something once we get going with it. Let me turn off this television because the TV is actually a source of noise for the radio. Okay, here we go. So I've turned it on.
And then when you're 100% debt free, you got nothing left to do but pile up cash as high as you can pile it. In terms of investing.
Look at the cool knob or dial pointer.
Giving. And it really is that simple.
Now,
and because you got such a great...
If you look real close, in fact, if I turn off a light, you can see it even better. You see the light that moves along with the dial pointer? How cool is that? That's pretty neat. And there's actually 2 of them. But with the flash on the camera, it's real hard to see the second one. But it's pretty cool. It's a nice looking radio.
Sue is one of our mentors. She recently shared this.
It is of presidential leadership.
Nice. Now, I'm in a basement. with fluorescent lights going on all over the place, and it's still doing pretty well. Now, it looks like my buddy Buster wants to help out here. Buster, you know you don't need to be up on the bench. So I'll go ahead and continue tuning this sucker.
It sounds too good
There we go.
but it is true. That's what you want. And it's what you
It's a real pretty little radio with some nice ornament, you know, the nice Zenith ornament. Nice, what looks like a brass, you know, screen speaker cover. Some nice details on the radio. I really like the way the legs are, or the feet, or whatever you want to call them. They look real nice. This is, Zenith did a good job even into the early 50s. You know, you have your real nice bottom. You have, I'm going to scan this, by the way, because it's in good enough shape that it needs to be scanned. And I'll keep that as a file. And you can see the back-sided loop antenna there. And still has all the original stickers on it. Let's go ahead and look at the back side of this radio. I love the dark green. So there you can see inside. I cleaned it up a bit. It looks real nice and clean now. Did wind up replacing one tube with 12BA6. That tube was pretty much, the filament was burned out in it, so I wasn't getting any juice to any of the other tubes, because all of the tubes the filaments are strung in a series string. And so the 12BA6, the IF amplifier, had a dead filament, so none of them were working. I basically had to pull out all the tubes and test them all to find out which one it was. So there we go with that. Nice looking radio. This one's in good shape. The masonite for the loop antenna is in nice condition. It's a real clean radio inside. It's got a little speaker, permanent magnet speaker. Cute little radio. I didn't do much to it except, basically refurbished the electronics, recapped it, re-resistored it. There were a lot of carbon comp resistors that were out of tolerance in this thing, which is, quite odd for a radio of this vintage. But sure enough, there were a lot. So I tested them all and replaced about 2/3 of them. And certainly most of the capacitors. A lot of early ceramic capacitors, and I were finding that I wasn't too tickled about the way they were working. A couple of them were leaky, and I even suspect that maybe it was a ceramic cap too that was contributing some to that crashing, staticky noise I was hearing. Maybe you smart guys out there would be able to educate me a little bit on whether that's possible. I know it seemed to be temperature dependent. When the inside of the radio would get warm, the staticky sound would increase. So I have heard that can be related to ceramic caps. I polished up the plastic cabinet with this stuff, 3M Extra Cut Compound. It's a car product. I used to collect cars, and so I still have a couple jugs of this stuff laying around. It works really nice on the cabinets, on the plastic. So there we have it, a Zenith 511F. The R511F chassis 5R01. And that's all I've got for now. This is Michael.